because there was a standard uniform. The uniform that you and me wear is the uniform that they were wearing. But that was something which was brushed aside. I felt extremely bad because I was not in a position to really change that. And then there were a couple of other instances that sort of kept happening, and I thought, mera kaam nahi hai. But when it kept happening again and again and again, I thought God is sending me some signals to do something about it. There was this other instance of my client where her daughter would come and hug her really tight. Mama, I love you. Hug her to the extent of really hurting her. You know, she was an ADHD child. Now, ADHD children have motor skill issues. So they, the signal does not reach to their brain that this is where they need to stop. The pressure has to stop. So the mother just slapped her. Now, the daughter was hugging her mother tight that I really loved you. And the mother was feeling hurt because she was really hugging her extremely tight. And I said, why did you slap her? She said, can't you see? She's become so irresponsible. Badtameez ho gayi hai. And I really need to teach her manners. And that's when I decided this is it. And I told her, no, it's not that. When she's saying that she loves you, she really means that she loves you. It's just that the brain is not sending, the nerves are not sending the signals to the brain that she's actually hurting you. She's thinking that she's just touching you, but she's actually not touching you. She's hurting you. And the mother had tears in her eyes. And that's where the beginning of Varija Life happened. That's where the beginning of Be the Change happened. Because I feel that each one of us in our own little way can be the change, rather than waiting for some NGO or some government organization to take a bigger step. Now, the reason why we are here, because I also met a film distributor very recently, and I said, why don't you make films like these, like Tare Zameen Pe, or films which addresses these issues? So he said, Varija, ye films nahi bikti. Love stories are easier to sell. Now, from the film distributor perspective, he was right. He wanted to play it safe. So the commercial films are love stories, love triangles, and films like those. I said, I understand that you're not here to do charity, but at the same time, if you think about really making a change, you can weave that with a love story. And that's when Dear Zindagi came. So it did hint upon psychological issues of a person. So when films like these come, of course, in the current state, we only look at big star casts to do justice to such sort of films. Otherwise, these films are not highly distributed. That's when I wrote to Meghna, and I thought, you are the guys who are going to step out tomorrow as media and communication students who are going to make films. It is in your hand how to make films. It is in your hand how you shape up the society later. You will be surprised to know that there's no concept of census in India, okay? Because nobody really goes to a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist के पास कौन जाता है? पागल जाते हैं, right? So that is the general perception कि psychiatrist के पास पागल जाते हैं. Psychologist के पास पारस कौन जाता है? Okay, so unfortunately that's what we believe. But do you know that 15 to 20% population today in India falls in the category of disabled? When I say 15 to 20%, that means 1/5 of us. 1/5. But do we really see them around? 1 out of 5, do you come across somebody who's physically and mentally challenged? Not really. Why? Because they are hidden at homes, or they're not identified. They might be one of us as well. We might be suffering through some mental disorder which has not even been identified. Physically challenged, of course, it's very obvious to identify them and look at them. Ki, the person cannot see or the person cannot walk properly. But other mental challenges, they are such huge, big sort of mental challenges which exist around us, which we are not even aware of. For example, have you heard of the term ADHD? Yes. What does it mean? Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder. Can anybody define it for me? Anybody at all? You might be wrong. Just participate. That's all right. Yes, please. Please introduce yourself. Right, that's one of the major characteristics in ADHD. Now, that what he's told us is what you can identify with. Now, I will tell you from the perspective of what the ADHD child is going through, okay? So, when I'm talking to you, you are in my foreground, right? What's in my background? That Pratap is standing over there and he's looking at me. Here are the panelists. Here is the photographer. I can hear the AC noise. I can hear somebody clicking at the end, the photograph. So, and I can see Meghna looking at me in my background, okay? But in my foreground, who is there? You are there. For an ADHD child, everything is a foreground. So there's no concept of background and foreground. So it is like 1,000 radio stations playing at the same time. Do you understand what is 1,000 radio stations? So the mind is overburdened with information and they cannot segregate. So the child is obviously very distracted because he does not know where to look at. That is what ADHD. Now that is one of the 1,000 disorders. You must have come across people. I have a driver like that actually, which once I delved more into it and I figured out that jab usko you give him instructions, go to the office, pick up this, drop it at the store, pick up that, go to the media house और वहाँ से वो sign करा के ले जाना. He's lost. That's too much information for him. He cannot handle it. And you have so many such people existing around you. Maybe your peons, maybe your friends who cannot take the multi-load of information. They are suffering from ADHD. And they might be your friends as well. So now that when I'm talking to you, maybe you'll identify these people more easily. Maybe these people will be identifying themselves more easily. And of course, there are ways out. So now what I do is I write down instructions for him. यहाँ जाना है, यहाँ से pick up करना है, फिर यहाँ जाना है, फिर इधर जाना है, ये sign कराना. Otherwise, no job is done. What was happening? My husband and me were constantly shouting at him. What do you do? What's wrong with you? Can't you understand basic thing? एक ही चीज़ को 25 बार बोले जा रहे. Do you have such people in your lives? एक ही चीज़ को 25 बार बोले समझ में नहीं आ रहा. Right? So now when you say that, please think. They are around and they are very much part of us. Okay, there are other disorders like social conduct disorders. Of course, there's no major study that is done. India mein to concept hai nahi study ka. But if we were to compare with the studies done abroad, so let's say Sweden, UK, 75% juvenile crimes, juvenile under 17 years of age, juvenile crimes are done by ADHD people. 75% crimes. All of us have heard of Nirbhaya? Yes. What did we say? Hang the rapists. Everybody went out and said, hang the rapists. The rapists have been convicted. They have been sentenced to death. If punishment was the only deterrent, there should not have been a single rape after that case. Right? There's no concept of rehabilitation in India. You have to understand, for somebody to commit rape in a moving bus, there is something not right. There's something not right here which is not identified. He needs counseling. He's out there and he's doing it because he cannot handle it. But what do? Hang the rapist. Does that solve the situation? No, it does not. So how do we do that? So how many people are wearing spectacles here?